And on point, I'm not a terrorist. Convicted 2007 JFK terrorist suspect Guyanese Abdul Nur. Exclusive interview.
They dropped the 5 counts of terrorism. They dropped that. And they institute a new charge of material support. I never support them, no way materially. I don't have money to support nobody.
Are you a terrorist?
No, Guyana don't have terrorists. Guyana, it is impossible. Guyana is so small, struggling to uplift the Islamic standard in the country, and Guyana don't have terrorists. Terrorists is people who do other things, like killing people wrongfully and all them things. And in Guyana, the Muslims don't believe in terrorism.
Today's edition of On Point is sponsored by Adolphus Mining, Morgan's Learning Center, and D&K Braids and Beyond. Abdul Nur is one of 3 Guyanese convicted in the JFK terror plot in the United States back in 2007. He completed his 15-year sentence last year and is now back on home soil. He's maintaining his innocence of the terrorist plot as he dismissed the notion that he's a terrorist.
I had no knowledge of no plot, of no terrorism. I never discussed nothing about no plot, about the JFK plot. Nothing such period, in no period, no time at all. So when I went to Trinidad first and they came behind, I never trusted them, so I leave the freighters and the informer, which name, the informer, the man that was carrying the wire, his name was Stephen Francis, known as Stephen Francis. I left the airport, so I didn't wait for them because I didn't trust them.
Nur was sentenced to 15 years in prison for his alleged involvement in the plot to blow up fuel tanks and pipelines at the John F. Kennedy Airport. 2 other Guyanese and a Trinidadian were convicted for the offense. Russell Freitas, a U.S. citizen and former cargo worker at the airport, and Abdul Qadir, a former Guyanese politician and member of parliament, and Trinidadian Karim Ibrahim, were arrested in Trinidad and Tobago and extradited to the United States, where they faced terrorism charges and eventually convicted. Nur said he was approached by the mastermind Russell Freitas to find a millionaire in Trinidad. He recalls leaving the men and going to another part of the country to do his personal business.
I left the airport, so I didn't wait for them because I didn't trust them. Because I had a business long years ago with a Trinidadian friend, so he owed me some money, so I was trying to see if I could get some money from him. This is why I used the trip too. So when I went to Trinidad, I left the airport, I never waited for them. So they couldn't find me in Trinidad. They went to one masjid, they couldn't find me. Then after that, the brother that they were staying by, which is Karim Ibrahim, they were staying by him. He told them that to come to Abu Bakr Masjid in Trinidad. So they came there and I was there. So when I saw them and I said, you all got the address to find the millionaire man that you all talk about? They said, don't worry with that. They wanted me to introduce them to Yassin Abu Bakr, which is the Imam in Trinidad. So I turned and tell them, I cannot introduce you to Yassin Abu Bakr because brothers was in Trinidad who, when the Imam was giving a khutbah, taped the sermon and take it to the Commissioner of Police in Trinidad, and he was charged for inciting terrorism. So I told him that I cannot take them to see Yassin Abu Bakr because that is not what y'all asked me to do or to come to Trinidad far. So I take them out the masjid compound and take them away. So they continue to ask me again about Trinidad, about Yasin Abu Bakr. I told them, I said, do not ask me nothing more about Yasin Abu Bakr. And then we done the story that, like, from then, and we went to the Trinidadian brother house, where was in a place called Cane Farm Road, where they were staying. So at that time, we discuss other talk. I take them to see the sites in Trinidad, Mount St. Benedict, a holy site, and in Trinidad, Port of Spain, and the Red House, and all these things. And that we never had no discussion with them, with no plot or nothing.
He was told by his lawyer in the US to accept a plea deal to avoid doing life in prison.
But the lawyer tell me, after they investigate of everything I tell them, from Guyana to Trinidad, everywhere, the brothers in Canada, they investigate, would inform or call and talk to. When we finish, he come back, he tell me, Abdul Nur, I know you're innocent, but this is America. America don't care about you. You is just another black man. My lawyer tell me though, Don Noble, he's a Jew, right? And he said, you have a chance to come out of prison. If you don't take this plea bargain and you go to trial, you would get life in prison just like the rest of them. They didn't get sentenced yet, but he's telling me what the system is going to do. So he said, you stand a chance to come out and we would see. He said, I know that you're innocent, but this is America. So America do what they want. You understand? So I had to accept the charge of material support so I could be here today. Because if I didn't do that, I would have been serving life in prison like the rest of the brothers then. Now, Abdul Qadir was entrapped by these people, which is called entrapment, right? Ibrahim was entrapped by the informers then. These people is not terrorists, we are not terrorists. And Russell de Freitas, he was the man, was a crazy man, lived in America for Guyanese for about 50, 60 years, and he come up with a plot. They was not to blow Kennedy Airport up. They was to sell the information, as far as my knowledge goes, to the Al-Qaeda people, right, about Kennedy Airport.
Life behind bars was not easy for Nur, as he spoke of his experience in solitary confinement in both Trinidad and the US prisons.
When we was in Trinidad, like Ibrahim, the Trinidadian brother, first time he was locked up. The first time Qadir in his life was ever being locked up, the two of them, So Karim, he couldn't take it. He tried to kill himself in Trinidad, tried to throw himself off of the bunk, bust up his head, and they sent him to what they call St. Anne's, the madhouse. And after they decide to send us to America, they're going to take him out from the madhouse. You're supposed to ship out a man who's insane to go and try stand trial. But they put us on the plane and ship us. And when they was extraditing us, they stripped us naked, put on a thin paper suit on us, put a black hood over her head, and cover her ears with a thing of like an earphone, overhead. You can't even see. Shoot, a mask over your face. This is the way how they extradite us to the United States.
Nur, a practicing Muslim, said he's grateful as Allah has been merciful to him and he's happy to be back home.
Well, everybody is greeting me and telling me that they're glad that I make it back home, and because they know that I'm a man of strength, faith, and I'm over 46 years since I embraced Islam.
Now 71, Nur wants to clear his name and plans to give his side of the story as he continues to profess his innocence of the crime. The Freitas Kadir and Ibrahim were all sentenced to life in prison. Kadir and Ibrahim are now dead while the Freitas continues to serve his life sentence. That's it for this edition of On Point. Join us again next week for another edition. Today's edition of On Point is sponsored by Adolphus Mining, Morgan's Learning Center, and D&K Braids and Beyond.